A major script leak for the cult indie animated web series Clash to be Champion has sent shockwaves through its online fanbase. Now, that is a direct quote right from BBC News. And honestly, it barely even scratches the surface of the absolute storm that hit this community. We are talking about highly anticipated plot twists, deeply emotional character arcs, and a whole entire production timeline that was completely derailed before a single frame even made it to broadcast. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to be breaking down this massive, behind-the-scenes internet production drama. We are looking specifically at the indie animated series Clash to be Champion, diving into the legendary Episode 14 leak and exploring how a behind-the-scenes crisis literally split the entire universe of this show into two completely separate realities. It is a wild ride. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, what is C2BC? 2, the scale of the show. 3, the Episode 14 leak. 4, the Paint Brawl plot. 5, who got eliminated? And 6, why was it leaked?
Chapter 1, what is Clash to be Champion?
So the crucial point here is understanding the world this show lives in. Created by a Canadian animator known online as Cole the Geek, the series sits squarely inside what's called the OSC, or the Object Show Community. If you aren't familiar with it, it's this incredibly unique internet subculture where everyday inanimate objects, think of things like a mirror, a beer keg, or a service bell, are given faces, limbs, and these really distinct personalities. Then they're thrown into a Survivor-style reality TV elimination tournament. It's a whole universe of passionate, crowdsourced indie animation, and it honestly draws millions of views globally.
Chapter 2, how many are for Clash to be Champion?
Well, when Cole the Geek rebooted his original series into Clash to be Champion, he definitely didn't hold back. He expanded the universe significantly, bringing in a massive roster of 20 contestant objects for Season 2. It's a really clever mix of returning veterans, affectionately called the oldies, and fresh faces, known as the newbies. And of course, they're all forced to navigate these shifting alliances, intense rivalries, and brutal challenges. And what exactly are they fighting for? A grand prize of $2 million fictional dollars. Overseen by the show's chaotic, highly entertaining host character Vasey, this high-stakes fictional money is what fuels the incredibly intense in-universe drama. Every single challenge matters, and every elimination is absolutely permanent.
Chapter 3, the leaked script for Episode 14.
Now let me ask you, what happens when an entire show's script leaks before a single scene is even animated? I mean, for traditional studios, sure, it's a massive headache. But for indie, crowdsourced animation projects that are running entirely on passion and volunteer labor, it can literally be an existential threat. And that is exactly what went down here. Production was humming along perfectly fine until a massive security breach happened. Former staff members who were caught up in some intense behind-the-scenes drama just took the raw script and uploaded it straight to Wattpad. Episode 14, Paint Brawl. It was this massive 4,905-word document, and it completely derailed the official production timeline. Every plot twist, every secret alliance, and the highly anticipated elimination were just suddenly exposed to the internet. As you can imagine, it created an absolute frenzy among the fans. Which brings us to Chapter 4, the title and plot. And this brilliantly illustrates just how intense the writing actually was. Stepping back into the in-universe lore, the fast-paced, anime-style combat they had planned for this Paint Brawl challenge is so good. The final 8 contestants are split into 2 temporary teams for a high-stakes paintball match. Right away, alliances start crumbling. Just 5 minutes in, Mira acts on pure personal animosity and deliberately shoots her own teammate's service bell. No way, right? Later on, Caramel Apple pulls off this totally stealthy ambush on Statuette. But ultimately, even with all that internal sabotage happening on their team, it's Glitchy who secures the final victory. Chapter 5, Who Got Eliminated? Now, what's really interesting about this is what happens next. With the challenge over, we hit the climax of the episode, the voting ceremony. Since half the cast just lost, somebody has to go home. And this is where the reality of the show literally splits into 2 timelines. Because of the leak, the creator, Cole the Geek, actually scrapped the script and rewrote the timeline entirely. So in his official, new canon, the character Glitchy gets betrayed and eliminated. But a group of fans got together and formed the Community Edition to animate that original leaked script themselves. In their canon, things go in a totally different direction, and it's Pound who gets eliminated. 2 parallel timelines, both born from one single leak. So let's take a closer look at what happens in that original Community Edition script. Pound, who's a British £1 coin, ends up getting targeted. Glitchy notices that Pound is playing way too passively, so Glitchy teams up with Beer Keg, leverages a minor alliance with Service Bell, and together they orchestrate this ruthless 4-vote majority against Pound. They send him packing in 8th place.
And it is a real gut-wrenching exit. The script highlights some heavy emotional weight in this community edition canon. As Pound is voted out, he shares a final, tearful moment with his boyfriend, Fireball. They share this surprising, highly discussed kiss right before Pound grabs his parachute and literally jumps off the building to his elimination. It's this massive, dramatic peak that fans were just desperate to see fully animated.
Chapter 6. Why did they leak the future episode scripts? Let's move to and see how this all builds up in the real world. If the script was this good and the crew worked so incredibly hard on it, why on earth would the production team leak their own project and ruin the surprise? Well, looking impartially at the behind-the-scenes turmoil, sources cite a whole mix of issues. We're talking severe internal production stress and immense friction among the volunteer staff. There are reports of grueling, totally unfair deadlines, like animators being given just 2 days to complete a whole scene. And on top of that, there were highly publicized controversies surrounding the creator himself. All of this friction basically hit a boiling point, which led to a mass exodus of the crew, the script leak, and eventually the formation of that fan-led community edition so they could finish the project on their own terms. Honestly, this is like a giant puzzle that perfectly shows the sociology of indie animation. Just look at the comparison here. A traditional studio, they've got centralized controls, strict NDAs, so their vulnerability to leaks is super low. But indie web series are completely different. They rely on a decentralized network of passion-driven volunteers. It's highly collaborative, for sure, but it's also incredibly fragile. When interpersonal drama hits, the entire structural integrity of the project is at a really high risk of collapse. And that leaves us with a massive, fascinating question to ponder. When original creators step away and fans literally take over the IP, animating leaked scripts themselves just to preserve their favorite character arcs, the lines of ownership get totally blurred. As fans transition from being passive consumers to active stewards of the media they love, will crowdsourced indie animation actually be able to survive the intense passion of its own fandoms? It's a real game changer for participatory internet culture. Thank you so much for joining me on today's Explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.